Today's topic is one that is close to my heart. Working with Pastor Chris lately, dealing with outreach, you really get to know the troubled situation of the world and how brutal it is for some families just to make it day to day. These are troubled times. I think everyone would agree. I mean, just look at the oil spill. Look at the occasions for war. So I want to look at you at James, because as promised, James is going to ask us to think like true Christians. In doing so, we can use this as a yardstick to kind of measure where you are, where I am, in a mature sense as a Christian. Do I think and act like James says we should act? I challenge you to look inside deep and look at these verses and see what they deliver to you. I was 16 years old. It was prom night, junior prom night. It was one of the most exciting times back in, I guess, the early 60s. Back then, the proms were held in the high school, both junior and senior. My best friend was going to pick me up and take me and my date to this junior prom. So the entire day was spent in anticipation of going to the junior prom. He was going to pick me up at 6:30. We were going to go to the prom. I lived about 200, 300 yards from the high school, so it was a short drive. And back then, you were lucky if you had anybody, a friend that had a car, let alone you having a car. But before I tell you the story, I want to share with you something about my family. My family gave nicknames to anybody that came into the house. I know you think of what nickname did they give Jimmy. Jimmy was called Jim Brown, after the Cleveland Browns fullback. Now that should be obvious. That's a whole other story. Jimmy played, what was it, powder puff football at the University of Maryland. First game, they almost broke her back, and my dad took a hold of that and said, hey, you're a fullback like Jim Brown, that kind of stuff. My best friend's name was Bob King. His nickname became Ding. Ding was going to pick me up at 6:30. I was excited. He was going to bring well, he said it was a girl in love, Judy. I used to call her Judy. 6:30 came. 6:30 passed. I was getting dressed in my suit. I was early, and I asked my dad, do I go pick up my date for the night, Pat? He said, sure, just get back here quickly. So I went and got Pat, and came back. Mom and Dad wanted to take some pictures, so we took some pictures. 6:45 came. Mom gave me $15 for the night. Ooh, yeah. That's a lot of money back then. That would have paid for dinner for two. 6:45, no ding. So I wonder what happened here. I know he knows what we're doing. We were all excited because we were going to go to a fancy place in Washington, D.C. for dinner. So I knew he knew about that. 7 o'clock came, no ding. I got worried. I called his house. I said, to his mom and dad, do you know where your son is? They said, no, he went to pick up Judy about 5:45. Well, we waited. Finally, at 8 o'clock, I got a call that changed my life. It was a call from Ding's sister. Ding's sister was in a hospital in Washington, D.C. On the way to pick us up, Ding and his date Judy were broadsided on Pennsylvania Avenue by a drunk driver. Judy was killed. Ding was in critical condition and dying. Ding's sister had called me because being his best friend, he had asked, would I please come down there and see him before he passed away? I said, oh my Lord. This isn't supposed to happen to young people, is it? This event changed my life. Ding survived after many months in the hospital. But it didn't change him in the same way it changed me. For some reason, that event affected me spiritually because I prayed about it. And I don't mean a rote prayer like I learned as a Catholic, as a young boy. I actually prayed to God about what had happened. I asked tough questions